Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, so David's final question, he asks about the Rolex Bubble. What's my take on the Rolex Bubble? All right, so first of all, let's just talk about that term. All right, many people throw it out, but they're not specific about what they're talking about. If you're talking about a BLNR, and I'm talking about a pre-ceramic 16710, we're not having the same conversation. So there needs to be a division between talking about the bubble in terms of discontinued pre-ceramic 5-digit vintage models or neo-vintage models and contemporary 6-digit ceramic models that Rolex is still producing. All right, so that's number one. I think discontinued models, the price rises are a little bit more organic, whereas the contemporary Rolexes, there are more factors, opportunists and gray market dealers and flippers and retailers that you need to take into account. So I don't think you can use the term Rolex Bubble for both discontinued pieces and modern pieces and still be talking about the same thing. All right, that's point one. Point two is people need to start talking about specific models, because if I'm talking about a contemporary two-tone watch and you're talking about a BLNR, we're not having the same conversation. Even if you say steel professional models, you got to be more specific, because all steel pieces are not the same. I mean, if you're talking about the real high-end, top of the top, the GMT, the Sky Dweller, or the tippy top, the Daytona, and I'm talking about a Milgauss or a Yachtmaster or an Explorer, then we're talking about the bubble in different ways, and it's those watches are gonna play out on the secondary gray market a lot differently. All right, so I think people need to be more specific. All right, that's point two. What's my take? Well, many people already know this. I'm not sure that David does, but Rolex is not a company, and it's a charity actually, and most companies, profit is the motivator. The more money, the better. I mean, that's the main point of a company. And so if you have shareholders and demand isn't being met, they're not producing enough watches, then they pull the president aside and say, you need to open more factories, or you need to hire more workers, or you need to raise prices, but we're missing out on potential. And you got to, well, he's probably going to get fired if he doesn't start meeting demand and raking in the cash. And if it's not his deal and he's not dragging his feet, I mean, he wants his bonus, and he wants this as big as possible, and it's the workers. Well, he either pays for more workers, or opens more factories, or lengthens working hours, something to get those products out and meet demand. All right, and at the end of the day, I mean, all businesses are about maximum profit, but Rolex is a charity, and my guess is that people who are connected with Rolex are on a salary, a set salary, and it doesn't change, and any extra profit doesn't go in their pocket. It goes back into the company. It goes out through charitable donations, goes to R&D. So profit and money is not the defining factor. What is? The strength of the brand and reputation. And they've never been at a better place right now. And so the short answer, whether you are talking about it being calculated, or them keeping pieces back, or them just saying we've always made this many pieces and we're just not changing it, it doesn't matter, because they are at this point in time in a better place than they ever have been. Their market value and their reputation is more solid than it ever has been, and their watches are more sought after than they ever have been. And while they may be angry and upset about their pieces selling for such a premium on the gray market, they probably are happy to know and realize that their pieces are of such high stature that people are willing to pay that kind of money. And so it's sort of it's a double-edged sword. It's like, yeah, we're missing out on all this profit, but hey, I mean, we've never had a stronger brand than now, and our our steel professional line. I mean, these are home runs, every single one of them. So now the question is, are they going to increase production to try to make us happier? Absolutely not. I mean, that's not going to happen, and things aren't going to change. I mean, this is the new normal. And now the question is often asked, is the bubble going to pop? And it will never pop, because Rolex will never let it pop. They have full control, and they're never going to devalue their brand in that way. They're never going to pump out the pieces to meet demand, which is what would have to happen for the bubble to pop. And it'll never happen. Now, will adjustments happen, and will the bubble deflate a bit at times? Yes, but you'll never see these pieces go for less than MSRP. And I think when you do, the piece will be on the chopping block. And I point to the ceramic all black GMT Master 2. And for a while, even though you couldn't find that model in stores, it was selling on the gray market for around what you could, if you could find it. And sure enough, it's gone. Now, a lot of people say that they just wanted to shift to bicolored bezels, or that it looked too similar to the sub, but I think possibly they saw that watch as sort of the weakest link of their professional line, and to the chopping block it went. And I think any watch that performs that way, I think, is going to be pretty short-lived, and I think it'll probably be discontinued. So yeah, in short, this is the new normal, and it's not going to change. Now, what's really interesting is, as strong as these professional models are, it comes at a cost to Rolex, and that's the two-tones and the precious metal watches. And I'll just use, for argument's sake and example's sake, the two-tone Datejust. And as the bubble inflates, or I think a better way to put it, as the status and desirability of these steel professional models increases, I think it only spells disaster for these models that are in the store, and these two-tone models. And so you got to wonder, how are they planning, and have they thought about how are they going to keep the value of those pieces up? I mean, the fact that people are buying two-tones as sort of a tax to get access to these models, it's telling. And it's telling in the sense of where these two-tone models are in terms of desirability, and they're low. They're low. And so I think that's something that's interesting, and I think that's what we should watch. And I think that's something we should talk about, because I think it's something perhaps that Rolex really doesn't want to acknowledge, the fact that they have stores that are essentially full of lemons that nobody wants, that people are pity buying to get access to what they really want. And those purchases are going to make it onto the gray market, and at a loss, and that's going to affect Rolex. So you got to wonder what they're thinking and what their plan is, and how do they propose to keep that aspect of their line strong. So are they okay with the middlemen, the retailers, requiring purchase of pieces that people really don't want in order to get access to pieces that they do want? I mean, that seems a terrible reflection on those two-tone pieces and those sort of display model pieces, the Cellinis, the Cellinis, the two-tones, let's just say it, the two-tones. But anyway, I don't want to make this video too long, and I've speculated a lot on the Rolex Bubble in past videos, and so I urge you, David, to check those out. But thanks for your question, and please weigh in, viewers, on specifically what you think that this bubble means for the two-tone line and the to quote, lemons of the bunch. And hey, do you want a custom video like David? You can't let David have all the fun. Check out the description of this video, and I'll let you know how you can make a custom video a reality. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time.